Coming to you from the My Little Falls studio, here in beautiful Little Falls, New York, it's your host, Scott Kinville, and another episode of Marty's Illegal Stick.
Hey, what's up, hockey fans, and welcome to episode number 41 of Marty's Illegal Stick, recorded here on August 31st, 2021. We got a very, very fun show lined up for you tonight. I got a guest. He's like the king of chirps when we play, so this is going to be a lot of fun.
I've hit you with some bangers.
Yeah, you know what? And I've been on the receiving end of a lot of them. You know,
I've hit you with some bangers. The best one I've ever said in my life was to you.
Yeah, I know, right? I think you've got that framed somewhere too. But
I'm gonna get it tattooed on me. Scott, you love everything about hockey except for being good.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be a lot of fun. But before I bring in said chirper here, I'm gonna bring in our esteemed panel. With me, as usual, to my right, my co-host, my father, Leo Gump Kinville. How are you?
Oh, top shelf. The weather finally broke in my favor. I feel much better, except it felt so good I wanted to take a nap this afternoon.
I know. I'm not used to this at all, but I can get used to it.
It was great.
I can. And to the left is our producer, our guru, if you will, Mr. Dave the Save Warner. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. What's up?
Yeah, I'm doing. You know what? I got to tell you. You know, you're starting to help me with the Marty's Illegal Stick site being rebuilt, and it's coming along great. And
Did you work on it some more?
A little bit,
All right.
little bit. I haven't called you yet, but
There's that.
but be on standby. That's all I can tell you.
Okay, all right.
And before I bring our guest in, I do want to say something real quick. The Mohawk Valley Hockey Club has its golf tournament coming up on September 25th at the Little Falls Municipal Golf Course. And one of our listeners, Jeff Ferraro, has donated a generous donation to the hockey club. And I just want to let him know just how much we appreciate him doing that. So thank you very much, Jeff. We really, truly do appreciate that. And now to our guest.
Up anytime soon?
We're
You're gonna be doing the hockey club. Are we gonna be doing the hockey club this fall?
Yes, this winter.
Good.
This winter.
This winter? All right.
Oh yeah.
I'll be there.
So, absolutely. So that voice that you hear is our guest. A good friend of mine, been a really good friend for a long time. And like I said, the king of the chirps when we play. He's also the co-host of the On Thin Ice podcast. I want to bring in Mr. Ed Stefaniak. What's up, buddy?
Oh, nothing much, man. Been a long day today. Didn't get much sleep. They're doing construction outside the house, and it's brutal.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were playing hockey or something.
No, not today. I work overnights.
Yeah, that's right. That's got to be brutal.
Yeah, you ought to come to Mohawk and watch some construction. There's not a street there that's not being constructed.
Oh, not right now. Same in Herkimer right now. It's insane.
Well, they decided to do it all at once. Get it out of the way.
Get it out of the way.
But you know, we're not here to talk about construction, and I don't even want to think about those roads right now. So what we are here to talk about is some hockey. Yes. And before we get to the podcast and all that, Eddie, what got you into hockey?
So I was a kid. My father played, and he just taught me. Like he told me I was going to play hockey, and when I was a kid, and just put me on the pond with him on a Basil field in Herkimer. On the other day. You know, you growing up in youth hockey, you know, you kind of forget the important parts of the game itself. But like the older I got, the more I grew to appreciate the sport and actually realize how important it was in my life.
Sure.
You know, and I always said I was a victim of my location because like I have the sneaking feeling that if I grew up in like Brantford, Ontario or something, some small Canadian market, I probably would have ended up playing major junior somewhere, but that's just my ego getting in the way.
Well, you can chirp like Drew Doughty. There's no doubt about that.
I try my best.
But, you know, that's an interesting point that you bring up because for our listeners that don't know, we're here in the Mohawk Valley of New York State, and where we are in our county anyway, there is no indoor ice. No, and so the adjoining county has like 3 or 4 rinks, but we don't. And so a lot of our kids down here don't get the opportunity to play youth hockey because it's quite a hike for starters, you know, to get up there back and forth every day. You're looking at least 30 miles one way. And it's, you know, like you just said, Gump, it's a lot of money too.
Expensive.
But Eddie, you did get to play youth hogrew right? Growing up in Herkimer.
Yeah, I played, Frankfurt. We moved to Frankfurt when I was in first grade. And grew up playing hockey, played at the Odd. Like that was my home ice from when I was 5 years old or 6 years old all the way until I was 19, and then back again in the B League this past, COVID Cup seasons.
Right.
Which was like, it was a breath of fresh air, but I totally forgot how big that ice was.
Yeah, I know, right?
I just remember as a kid just suicides. It was from like peewees just on the goal line, and it was brutal, but we were the most conditioned team out there.
Oh, I bet.
We were playing Fulton or, Morrisville, who had half the size of a rink compared to us. And we were just the most conditioned team, time in and time out. We couldn't put the puck in the net, but we were able to outskate them.
Well, it's too bad with the ice being bigger that the nets weren't bigger too,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that would have helped much. I was still kicking field goals with my stick.
So growing up, who were some of your favorite players growing up?
My favorite player growing up was always Gordie Howe.
Really?
Gordie Howe. My dad had.
Now, just for reference, how old are you?
I'm 28.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm 28. Gordie Howe was my favorite player because my father had all the Don Cherry Rock'em Sock'em hockey tapes.
All right.
From all the vintage stuff. As soon as we got NHL Network, my dad was like, we're watching old hockey games, and that was kind of him and I's bonding was old hockey. And his favorite player was Bobby Orr.
Okay.
So it was weird that like I chose Gordie Howe as my favorite player, but like I always tried to emulate him. It was the elbows and the dirty play and the slew foots and just getting in there and just grinding it out with other players.
Right.
I had no problem just playing dirty. Now,
well, at least you can admit it.
Yeah, that's part of the game.
So how do you go from liking Gordie Howe as a kid to liking the Boston Bruins?
Boston Bruins.
Just the style. It was like I couldn't name a nice Bruin from my childhood. Even Ray Bourque had a temper. Like,
yeah, right.
He so it was just the way I played hockey. I was just a fierce competitor, and I saw the way Kim Neely and Ray Bourque and all those late 90s Bruins players played, and it was just the way I wanted to be.
Adam Oates didn't have much of a temper, did he? He was there for a little while.
Yeah, Adam Oates didn't have that much of a temper, but
of course, you really don't think of him as a Bruin, though. I think of him more as a St. Louis Blue.
I think of him as a Bruin because I grew up when he was a Bruin.
Okay.
It was I do remember him as a Capital, and I remember him as a Blue. I remember him as an Anaheim Duck.
Right.
So, and he was just a journeyman.
Yeah. Well, he was one heck of a journeyman, though.
The best.
He put up some pretty darn good numbers for a journeyman.
I'll tell you what. If I had half of the passing ability he did, I would have been in the show.
Yeah, right.
I had the height of St. Louis and the anger of McSorley, but I had no puck skills until I was 20.
And you had the elbows of Gordie.
Yes, the elbows of Gordie. I actually had an illegal curve on my stick.
See that, a boy? There you go.
I did have an illegal curve on my stick. I heated it up. I took my dad's blowtorch and was heating up the blade of my stick and just kept bending it.
Did it look like a cane by the time you were done?
It was at one point I had a full shaped V. I had a V-shaped curve, and I'm like, that's too noticeable. I gotta get a different stick.
Oh man, that's fun. That is awesome. So after you got done with youth hockey, you actually ended up playing for the Mohawk Valley Raiders, correct?
At the time, they were the Proctor Raiders.
They were the Proctor Raiders. Okay. And also for reference, just so everybody knows that's listening, once again, no high school here in Southern Herkimer County has its own high school team, ice hockey.
Yep.
So everybody kind of assumes that, well, you can't play, but that's not the case, is it?
Certain schools did accept players from different school districts. When I was growing up, Westmoreland had a team, Notre Dame and Rome Catholic had a combined team, and Proctor accepted kids from other teams. And Westmoreland played at Whitesboro Our Rome Catholic and Notre Dame played at JFK, and Proctor played at the Odd. And Proctor was obviously the closest in proximity. And I was actually in 8th grade. I had paperwork to go to Notre Dame to play for them. And
Really?
then they folded the hockey program. So my dad's like, well, you're not going to Notre Dame. That's money saved. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go play for Proctor. And actually, I continued youth hockey through high school hockey.
Okay.
So they had the midget half season program. So you had a preseason youth hockey portion where it was you played with your youth hockey team, then high school season, then the end of season you had tournaments and stuff with your youth hockey team again. And I was practicing probably 3 hours a night. So as soon as I got out of Proctor practice, I'd go right to youth hockey practice right in the same building.
Wow.
And so it made it easy. And then also at the time I played high school football. So every day was football practice, then hockey practice, then hockey practice. So I was tired.
Well, yeah, but you must have been built like Bobby Hall by the time it was all done, didn't you?
My study halls were spent in the weight room. I was carbo loading. It was nuts. The diet I was on was just insane. I was eating like, I want to say it was like 2,300 calories a day, like double the norm. Just because I needed the energy. And I was burning it off so fast every time that I was actually like really fit and like, actually I looked healthy. Now I don't. Now I look like I belong in McDonald's land.
You know what? Don't you hate how that happens? We think back then, we're going to eat all this food because we need the energy. Now we just eat all the food just because. Yeah.
Now I kept the diet and lost the ambition.
Yeah, but now it tastes good.
Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Now I don't have to scarf it down to get to the next practice.
Yeah, there you go. So you played for the Raiders through your entire high school career? Or?
11th grade, then they got rid of the hockey program.
Did they really?
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that they shut that down.
Yeah, they shut that down in 2011. They actually went like 4 or 5 years without a program until the Mohawk Valley Raiders started again.
Okay. And that was still kind of part of Proctor, correct?
It's the Proctor jerseys. It's kind of its own entity now.
Oh, okay.
Where they do have a couple kids from Proctor, but you also are going to see more kids from the Valley and kids from other school districts who play hockey who don't have the opportunity to play high school hockey. And I think there's one, at least last year, there was, or the last season they played, there was 1 or 2 kids on the team who didn't make the cut for Clinton or New Hartford, and the Mohawk Valley Raiders scooped them right up, I guess.
Wow. But that's a really, really good thing to have available because, I mean, let's face it, not every high school can afford to field an ice hockey team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I say field, that sounds kind of weird, I know, but you know what I mean? The cost is outrageous, and so they simply can't afford to do it. But to be able to have a team like that, just to be able for, the kids that otherwise wouldn't have it available, there it is.
Yeah, no, it's nice. I mean, I want to get more involved with it because their coach, Ben Venero, is a friend of mine and grew up as my coach from, I want to say it was mites all the way up till midgets. Like he's been a father figure to me my whole life. He's been like a second father, and it was great to have him around. And now I want to kind of help him out with coaching and. He's gotten older, so like he doesn't really connect with the youth like he did when he was my coach. So like he might need somebody like me who's 28 and still kind of has an idea of what dealing with kids is, their age is like, kind of their lingo and the way they talk and all that. And, also like they need positive reinforcement also, and an assistant coach, that's what they're there for.
Sure. I mean, it's, obviously times change and you got different generations coming through, and it always helps to have somebody as, I don't know if buffer is the right word, but kind of like that connection, you know what I mean? Between the older generation and the younger generation, it always helps.
Yeah. Yes. It would be a big help, I think.
Oh, I think so. And I can't believe you're only 28.
Yeah. I feel much older.
That's I thought you were going to say he looks a lot older.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna be nice, but even though he had that great chirp on me, there's no answer to that too. That's the whole thing.
I do look a lot older than what I once did at one point. It was, I use Just for Men now. I hide it. Lily's right next to me, just questioning that, but I use it in the locker room at work.
That's great. That is awesome. So after the Raiders or after you got done with high school, I know you went to college and you had some really good stories one night in the locker room about that too.
Oh God, when we were playing, so I played for MVCC for 1 year. I went to we were playing in Broome County, and my college coach Danny Maycock tells it perfectly, and Josh Gagnon, they both tell it so perfectly because they were on the bench and saw it. And it was when I was playing for the Rats. Danny told me all this. It was he looked at me. He's like, "Hey, do you remember that game in Broome County?" And I'm just like, "No." And he's like, "I kind of figured that." And he went into detail. It was like, "You lied." And if you guys don't know Danny, he's 6'4", 325 pounds. He's like, "You lined up a guy as big as me and tried to hit him, and when you connected with his forearm with your head, you were out cold." And then he's like, "Then you stood up, skated as fast as you could to the bench and punched the glass. And then as soon as you got back on the bench and sat down, your eyes rolled to the back of your head." Like it was like the John Tavares scene from earlier in the playoff. His eyes rolled to the back of his head, he fell backwards. And so that's what happened to me. I fell backwards, concussion protocol, just, missed basically the rest of the year. And the only reason why I missed it was because they knew that I intentionally cheated the concussion protocol test, the preliminary test before the season. I intentionally
figured out a way to cheat the concussion protocol test.
Yep,
that's classic.
It's get everything wrong. Act like you have a concussion before the season.
So they basically assume you're an idiot. Is that basically?
Yeah. They're just like, "You can't be that stupid." Turns out I am that stupid. But when you want to play, you want to play. Like there's no way around it. Like I don't remember the game at all. I don't remember these moments, but I'll have the story forever because Danny reminds me every time I see him.
I can just picture that though. Could you imagine that? "Doctor, we've never had anybody with a baseline below 0. This is incredible."
Yeah, no, it was bad. I got every single one of them wrong intentionally. And the worst part is I know I'm not the only one on my team that did that.
Wow. And this is a college team.
Yeah. It's way more frequent than you'll ever imagine.
Yeah, higher education, hard work. There you go.
Yep. This is state college at its finest.
Yeah, right. So now you're doing the On Thin Ice podcast. So tell us a little bit about that.
It's just, we go over the hockey news, give our opinions. It's really cut and paste and dry. Just go over the news, go over topics, go over, our opinions on it. Try, especially, me and my co-host definitely have very different opinions on some things.
That's always the best, though.
Oh.
Yeah, so we get into some discussions and arguments, and we call each other names and things like that.
Who is your co-host, anyway?
His name's Patrick Tarnacki. He's a friend of mine. He loves hockey. Never played a sport a day in his life, but he loves it.
That's great, though. That's even better.
Yeah, never. So he just enjoys the sport. He's a class act, classy guy, and he just enjoys watching hockey. He's a diehard Sabres fan, so like he's just a sore loser.
See, there you go, Dave. There's another one.
Well, there's two of us out there.
Yeah, Dave's a big Sabres fan too.
There's way more than you could ever imagine. There's so many
Bruins and Sabres. Yeah.
Look at Gump. He's gonna have a meltdown over here.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, but don't worry about it.
Gump, I see you have a Rangers shirt on. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Born and raised.
Born and raised a Rangers fan.
I bet 1960s when I learned how to play hockey, I was 12 years old.
Okay.
And I played it. I played till I was 41. I'm 73 now, and I'm still
73.
Yeah, I'm still a New York Ranger hockey fan.
I thought that was
So you're about as
1930.
yeah, no, it's you're about as almost as old as the Rangers cup drought there between 49.
Oh,
What'd you say this guy's name is? You want some chirps? We're gonna chirp. You do realize what a sin bin is, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Oh, he's very familiar with that. Don't you worry about that.
there we go.
I'm there a lot. Don't worry.
Well, don't worry about it. You guys will be battling out between who gets Jack Eichel.
Well, no, but he's gonna be in the box, but it's the wrong box.
Did you play that season? I had like a penalty per game.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I did.
I think
You had to really try to do that, didn't you?
What?
You had to really try to do that, didn't you?
You know what? I get in front of the net and I see somebody there and I want to get them out, and that's just what I do.
You know, I was wondering on your team who was going to finish with more penalties. It was going to be you or Eric.
I blew him out of the water. The only one that was close to me was Lee Barker, and he was like 2 penalty minutes below me. He was one full penalty below me, and Eric was he was like 4 or 5 penalties away. So like he didn't. He had a shot, but he missed a couple games.
Well, you know what? You won the Golden Penalty Box Award for that evening, or that season, I should say.
I had the most that season. I had the most
I'll take
penalties that season.
either a goaltender or a defenseman.
I'm a stay-at-home defenseman at its finest.
Oh, there you go. I got respect for you then, son.
I stay right there. I clear out the front of my net, and I get everyone out. I clean up the garbage.
I was a goaltender, and I love those stay-at-home defensemen because, boy, they help out a lot.
Scott knows very well how hard I get people out of my net.
Yeah, you gotta just be careful. That's all.
Don't get those elbows up. Huh?
Well, is the yellow or the stick ends up somewhere you don't want it to end up. Trust me, been there, done that.
Is that why it's called an illegal stick?
Yes, yes, it is.
Who was that guy we had on that was talking about who we were talking about? Remember, they kept saying if you went, Brophy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that is just awesome right there.
I have a new tactic coming in this year, so.
Oh, can you enlighten us, or is this going to be a big surprise?
No, I'll enlighten you. I'm just going to put my stick in the back of somebody's pants and just pull their pants down.
Well, you tried that with me, but I was wearing my suspenders.
Yeah, no, it's still uncomfortable, and you're not going to get your stick down in time. So, and it's not a penalty.
You can comment on it.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's a lost cause right there.
I believe that one alone.
Yeah, illegal penis on the
No,
ice.
yeah. You know what? I might not play this season, Vincent. I'll have to make sure I'm working the night we play the Rats.
I was just thinking you might have a shitty stick before it's over. You know?
It's not going down vertically. It's cross-checking the back of the pants.
Yeah.
That's what you say now.
Yeah, we all went vertical on that one.
Well, you know what? You can't expect anything else from a guy who failed the concussion protocol test on purpose. So, yeah.
Completely on purpose.
Oh boy!
I don't know if you heard my story about going into the Fed. Have you heard that one yet, Scott?
No.
So it was after my season at MV, got cleared from concussion protocol. Doctors signed off on it. So I go to I
still said, I can't believe that this guy.
Yeah, no, they were baffled. And I was I got an invite to play in this tournament in Syracuse, and it was kind of like, remember the old Burrito Jones tournaments?
Yeah.
It kind of felt like that, but then they're like, I'm reading the rules. They allowed fighting, no face mask, or visor mandatory, but no face mask, and all these like bookmarks to check off that it was like a semi-pro league, and I'm like, I just want to play hockey, so I go there, I pay the fee, go play hockey, and then next thing I know, I'm getting a phone call I go to play, got into a couple fights. I was still young and stupid at the time. And I
28 years old.
Yeah, I was 20 years old. I was
Still young.
And I was, I get this call from a number in Connecticut, and I'm like, who's this? So I answered thinking it's like a debt collector or something. And it was the coach of the Danbury Whalers, and he's like, hey, we really liked you. We want to invite you out for a tryout. So I'm like, okay. So I go out to their tryout. So I take a weekend, go to Danbury, Connecticut, try out for the Danbury Whalers, and got into like 6 fights and got like a 10-game PTO.
So is this how they came up with Goon, that movie?
No, that's Doug Smith. Actually, I'm actually really good friends with him on Facebook. Like him and I talk all the time. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, he's a very nice
Very
guy.
cool.
If, I could put him onto this, see if maybe he wants to come on.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, because like he has stories for days. For days. Like, this guy. If they didn't make a movie and if he didn't write a book and he told all these stories, I'd just look at him and be like, man, you're nuts. But nope, this is true. There's video evidence. This guy is a psychopath on the ice.
But he's not going to try to like hook anybody by hooking their pants, all right?
No, he played a much different style than me.
Just wanted to check. That's all.
Yeah,
Where do you think he learned that from?
Yeah, right. Oh boy. So when your podcast, is that a weekly podcast or
we're taking the summer? We're taking the summer off because there's not much happening right now. I know there's a PTO going, not a PTO, offer sheet, and unfortunately the passing of Jimmy Hayes. But other than that, there's not much other news.
Right.
And, I have my opinions on a couple. Not much on the Jimmy Hayes situation. It's just unfortunate and sad and all that. But the offer sheet, well,
we're going to be talking about that in the next segment. Don't you worry about that.
That's why I asked if I can swear, because
you'll get your chance, my friend. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Oh boy. But you will be back in the fall, though, right?
Yeah, we should be back in the fall. Once preseason and training camp is in full swing, like we'll see injuries and more news come out. Jack Eichel will be traded probably to Minnesota for Kirill Kaprizov.
Nah, he's going to the Rangers. I'm telling you,
Rangers can't afford him.
Gump is like,
the Rangers could afford him. They just don't want him.
Why?
You say I wouldn't want Jack Eichel. It's going to break. You know that.
Who would want Jack Eichel?
What do you say?
Who would want Jay? That's what he said.
That's right. Yeah.
But at that contract, you're right.
That contract's the only setback.
Yeah.
That and the obvious neck surgery being needed.
Right.
But Jack Eichel, like if he was healthy and the contract wasn't that bad, I would say he's a top 5 player in the league.
You know what's funny is that people keep complaining about that contract, right? But if you've seen some of these contracts that are being signed this offseason in a flat cap world, I'll tell you what, in a year or two, that contract's not going to look that bad. It's really not.
I'd say 5 years, but
it's just look at some of the ridiculous money they're throwing around.
Oh man, they're throwing some money too.
They are. It's crazy. And we're going to talk a little bit about that money next segment because I know there's something you really want to talk about with that offer sheet.
Yeah.
But before we get to all that, can you tell us where are you guys on social media or you found on all major podcast platforms, right?
Yeah, we're found on all major podcast platforms. The podcast itself isn't on social media. Other than that, though, like we just record. Like I'll post about it when we record an episode and all that. We've interviewed Rob Ray. My co-host interviewed the coach of the Buffalo Buttes.
Very cool.
And, we have a couple other prospects that want to come on, and I'm trying to get a hold of the Comets to see if I can. I've had this idea for a long time with if I ever started a podcast, and it was I want to take a Comets player or a Utica College player or something and bring them out to a random spot in Utica, like the billiards hall or something, and play pool and record an episode there, but not talk about hockey once. Learn about that one player.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
Every time I know it, it's all they talk about is hockey.
Yeah, because that's what they're kind of programmed to do. But these are other people too. Like, look at you're a Rangers fan. Henrik Lundqvist loves playing guitar, and if I could just I play guitar. I'd love to be able to just sit there and talk with him just about music.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
His brain on other aspects of their life that they feel great about, but they're programmed to just talk about hockey. They're in the locker room and they're getting interviewed by the press and they're being like, giving the same bland answers.
Right. Yeah, give the programmed answer.
We got to get pucks in deep. We got to get pucks on net. We got to stay out of the box. We got to do this. It's a team effort out there, and I just want to hear them as a person show their personality a little bit. Because they're people.
Yeah, every once in a while you want to hear that. I don't like ketchup on my hamburger. That's it.
Yeah, like honestly, like that's the whole thing. Like Jacob Voracek this past season went off on a reporter, and it was such a breath of fresh air. Not because he went off on a reporter who needed to go off on, but he shows his personality. It shows that he's frustrated. It shows that a ton of other things more than just going off. It shows that he's a person too. Because like you mentioned earlier, you have a list of the most hated players. Do you think they like being on that list? Because I don't.
Some of them might.
Tom Wilson definitely does. But other than that,
where's Jerry when you need him?
I love Tom Wilson again. Oh, come on.
That's like our Gong Show moment. Always is.
Oh, phase.
Oh boy, that's so much fun. But yeah, that's a great idea. That really is. And
it's something I've always wanted to do because, it's an outlet for me to work on my creative side with the podcast and with my content, and it's also it's also good for the player. It's kind of therapeutic in a way, I'd imagine.
Sure.
I would have loved to have done it when Mike Zaleski was on the Comets because I grew up with the kid. So him and I, you could put us in a room for hours and we wouldn't talk hockey once.
That's cool.
We grew up together, playing hockey together. I played him when he played for New Hartford and I played for Proctor. And if we text each other or message each other on Facebook, it's not hockey. It's just like, hey man, how's it going?
Right. Right.
So I would have loved to have started it with him because he would have been that would have been so natural.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, sure, there probably would have been the storytelling and things like that. Remember this? Remember when I pissed you off in this game? And remember when I scored on you there?
War stories, of course.
Yeah, there'd always be that. But other than that, it'd just be we'd talk about growing up together and telling those stories too of pool parties and shit when we were kids.
Yeah. And you can tell him how you failed a concussion test on purpose.
He knows that one already.
Well, with that, we're going to head into our first commercial break.
Right.
And then when we come back, we're going to be doing a lot more trash talking here because I know you got a lot built up. But we do got to get to that commercial break. But as always, before we go to commercial break, we're going to end this segment with Breakaway Trivia. Now, the Breakaway Trivia is brought to you by friend of the show, Jimmy the Iceman McNeil's children's book, The Red and White Zamboni Ice Machine. You can order your copy by emailing Jimmy at mac_iceman@hotmail.com. So this week's Breakaway Trivia question is, and this is just for you, Ed.
Okay.
Gordie Howe played 26 seasons in the NHL and was at one time the NHL all-time leading scorer in points until some guy named Wayne Gretzky came along. So what I want to know is, how many times did Gordie score more than 100 points in a season? The answer when we come back.
Visit My Little Falls and stay connected with the latest news, information, and events in the city and the area. Our mission is to generate interest in the community and connect residents in a more meaningful way by facilitating deeper conversations about how these stories will shape the future of the Mohawk Valley. Join thousands of weekly visitors who stay up to date with feature stories, interviews, videos, our event calendar, and print publication, the Mohawk Valley Express. It's about timely local news for the community, keeping citizens informed about important issues, telling about the people who live and work here, and giving locally owned businesses the opportunity to reach a very targeted audience of locals and tourists alike. It's a whole new form of media-rich content developed specifically for today's mobile lifestyle and listeners. You can download our iOS app in the iTunes Store, listen to our country music streaming radio station, or sign up for a weekly newsletter. Stop by today at mylittlefalls.com. You'll be glad you did.
You know, Dave, with that music that you chose for that commercial, I feel like there should be a fog machine in here. Just kind of this low layer of smoke. We just emerge out of it.
Do you want me to do that?
That would be awesome.
We'll look at that.
Maybe a couple of neon lights, lasers, or something like that.
I can do that too.
It would be like a WWE entrance. It would be great.
All right. I got a
I can get
laser.
behind that.
And I have a feeling he's actually going to do it too. So
You never know.
You'll see me coming out like Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Yeah.
Shirtless in my underwear.
There goes the NHL.
there it is.
Talking shit about the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, jeez.
Oh
Boy,
boy, what?
like Mick Foley, but
Yeah, right. Welcome back to segment 2 of Marty's Illegal Stick. And as always, we're going to kick the segment off with the answer to breakaway trivia. But I'm going to give you the question one more time. In his illustrious 26 seasons in the NHL, Gordie Howe, how many times did he score more than 100 points in a season? Gumper, you're going to go first.
Yeah, and you have to do this in front of a Gordie Howe fan, right? Hey, right. Anyway, it's a guess. I'm going to say 16 seasons.
Okay.
16.
Dave?
1.
Okay.
Just
Eddie?
one time.
I'm gonna guess 0 because seasons were so short back then.
So actually, Dave the Save got it. It was
What?
1. One time. So he scores.
I was just.
And you know what? You actually got that one because I was watching you for that phone. That's what, you know.
With the phone.
See,
yeah.
Eddie, Dave's got this habit of being very sneaky with the phone on breakaway trivia. But then he'll say afterwards, I had that, you know. I had that. I'm like, yeah, after you Googled it, way to
There were a
go.
couple of times I guessed a number and I was right, but
Like this time.
I just 1. I thought it can't be 1.
Yeah, it was. So, I mean, he had 1,850 points in his career, played 26 seasons, only one time, and it was the 1968-69 season where he scored 103 points. 23rd season of his NHL career.
Wow.
And he finally broke the 100-point. Could you imagine that?
No, not at all.
You didn't.
Not at all. No,
And no, he didn't do it for the Rangers, Gump.
no, I know I didn't do it for the Rangers. Now you're getting stupid. Hey, right. Yeah.
Well, I didn't get stupid much in the first segment, so I had to save it for the
Well,
second.
I got out of 41 of these episodes, I've got 1 2/3.
Yeah, we gave you half a point for one. That's
Well,
right.
I know I got two out of 3 last week. The only one I missed was Lafleur.
That's right. Well, okay.
What was the
To make you
question
feel better, last week, who were the 3 players that were inducted or that played in NHL games after they were inducted into the Hall of Fame?
He's choppy. Something's choppy.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
There we go. A little technical difficulty. That's all.
You've been feeding, kind of in and out there, fading a bit. So we've stuck with
it's
you.
happening.
Though.
There we go.
Yep. It's not us. I guarantee it. Look at how his tongue is just hanging.
He's still fuming about breakaway trivia. That's why. Oh boy. So while Eddie's working on his technical difficulties, I'm going to go ahead and start our happy birthdays. So a happy birthday to the late, great Jean Beliveau. The Hall of Famer would have turned 90 on August 31st, which is actually today. We're recording today, August 31st. So, and also a happy birthday to Hall of Fame defenseman Scott Niedermayer. Niedermayer turns 48. Guess what? Today.
All right, I'm back.
All right, he is. There he is. Technical difficulty solved. This is weird because we had there it is. Okay.
There were 2 of them on
I
there.
felt like I was Ed optical illusioning.
It's what you see on the ice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What you feel from behind.
It's after I get chirped. That's it. Oh, boy. All right. So, Eddie, here we go. The offer sheet wars are on. The Carolina Hurricanes have signed Montreal Canadiens restricted free agent Jesperi Kotkaniemi to a 1 year.
I just want to say I called this weeks ago. On our
Well, hold on. I'm going to finish it just so Gumper's got an idea of what we're talking about.
Oh, okay.
To a 1 year, $6.1 million contract. The Habs have 7 days to match the contract, or the former 3rd overall pick will become a Hurricane. If that happens, Montreal will receive a 1st and a 3rd round pick in compensation. So, Eddie, what I want to know is this a good move or a bad move by the Carolina Hurricanes?
This is a great move. I think Kotkaniemi is a phenomenal player. He's a young stud. He'd fit in great for that system. And also, it's bad blood. Carolina's pissed. Carolina was pissed when they offer sheeted Sebastian Aho. This was back in 2019.
Montreal did them a favor with that, though.
They did, but still, it's still a bad look. and the pettiness I'm seeing on Twitter from the Hurricanes is amazing. They offer sheeted Kotkaniemi, and then they tweeted out a reverse Uno card, their Uno reverse.
Yeah, I saw that.
Card, and then they turned their whole account to French, and then the general manager, when he had his statement about the offer sheet, said the exact same thing that Mark Bergevin did. About Sebastian Aho. This is pettiness at its finest, and hockey needs this more than ever right now because the rivalries are dead. You don't see Boston, Montreal. The only time we saw it this year was the Rangers and the Capitals, and that's because of Tom Wilson. Other than that, the game was smooth. I mean, you watch a Kings and Ducks game from 5 years ago, and it was a bloodbath. You watch a Kings and Ducks game now, and they're both hoping for the first overall pick. Like the NHL needs bad blood. It's a sport built off of that.
I totally get that.
I remember hating Vancouver 6 years ago. I still hate the Canucks. I hated the Comets for being affiliated with the Canucks. And that's all because of the 2011 Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, but your team won it.
Yeah, but they were dirty. Like, even dirty for me. Like,
I was going to say, wait a minute, hold on.
They bit. But
the first thing he was priding himself on it.
There's a line. I'll never bite a person. I'll lick them. I won't bite them.
Now I know I'm staying away from you in the league.
Like, you wear a cage. Oh, no, you wear a visor. You wear a visor. You're good.
Yeah.
I'll lick you up and down.
So it's like Superman when he kissed the guy there.
I hope my wife's not listening to this. That's all I got to say.
Listen, that's just the stuff you got to do. That's stuff on the one side of the line. Biting is on the other side, and Alexander Burrows is going to rot in hell forever for biting Patrice Bergeron.
Well, you know what? I'll give you my opinion on this. I think this is pretty much a completely idiotic move by Carolina.
Okay.
Dumb. And I'll tell you exactly why. Okay, I get being upset about Aho. Fine. You know what? Like I just said, Montreal did them a huge favor. That was a lowball deal.
That was a joke.
You know what? Aho could have gotten a much bigger contract. He really could have, for starters. Okay?
Yeah.
2, why are they offering $6.1 million to a guy who's had 11 goals over the past 2 seasons total? He was a healthy scratch in the playoffs. Yeah, I get he was the number 3 overall pick, but you know what? He was probably a reach there at number 3.
I can see the reach.
And if they lose him, they're going to get a first and a third round pick. And by the way, that first round pick is not lottery protected. And this 2022 draft is a very, very strong draft. So let's just say, for instance, devil's advocate here. Let's say the bottom falls out for Carolina. They have a horrible season for whatever reason, whatever happens, and they miss the playoffs. And Kotkaniemi is basically awful for them. How's that going to look if that first round pick turns into a lottery pick, which in turn could potentially turn into Shane Wright?
It's going to look bad.
It's going to look horrible.
That you put it in that perspective, yes. But
and here's another thing too. But here's another thing. Where's he going to play? They signed Derek Stepan to a contract this year as well. So what are you giving him $6.1 million to battle it out for the third or fourth line center spot? Because Jordan Stahl's not moving. Sebastian Aho's not moving.
He could be a very versatile player. He's still really young, so he can move to an offside.
Okay, that's fine.
He can move to an offside, and I think with playing with a Sebastian Aho and playing with
Timo
Teravainen, Andrei Svechnikov, even Derek Stepan and Jordan Stahl can be much better. Because let's face it, that Montreal team this year didn't deserve to be in the Cup. They didn't. No, there's no way. No way. Everything that he's done in Montreal has been a farce. Like, it's been. I don't put his numbers up there with he's a bust. I put his numbers up there with he's in the wrong system. I think he could do very good things in a better system and with a better coach. Because let's face it.
Yeah, I get that part.
I think Rod Brind'Amour is the best coach in the league. Like, by far.
Well,
I think Rod Brind'Amour could easily be a game changer for any player. That's why they signed Tony DeAngelo, is because if anyone's going to whip him into shape, it's going to be Rod Brind'Amour.
He's a great coach. There's no doubt about that.
So
there's no doubt about that. But not only that, with this signing, with them completely overpaying for him, by the way, because he was projected to get what, $2.5 million per season on his next contract.
Yeah,
that was the projection, right? So they're going to give him $6.1 million. Now they're up against the cap. They weren't for a while because they didn't re-sign Dougie Hamilton.
Yeah,
they let him walk. Okay, fine, go. They actually had some cap room. Now they don't.
I think, and from what I heard from listening to Elliot Friedman and all that, is they don't do this offer sheet without already talking to him and agreeing on an extension that's $4 or $3 million a year.
Yeah, but why would he do that? That makes zero sense. Think about this for a second. Just think about it. You're Kakanyemi, right?
Yeah.
He signs this 1 year, $6.1 million contract. Now, because it's a $6.1 million contract for one season, next season, he's still a restricted free agent, and Carolina would have to qualify him at $6.1 million.
Yes.
So if you're him, if you're the player, okay, I wouldn't even entertain an extension right now. I'd be like, no. I'll play for my $6.1 million, and let's say the guy's lights out. Let's say they were right. They rolled the dice and they were right. The kid's a superstar after all. Okay? Now he's going to say it's going to be at least $6.1 million just for one season to get my services, or you're going to pay me even more if you want to keep me. He holds all the cards. Carolina has no leverage whatsoever. And okay, so great. You wanted to get back in Montreal for handing you Sebastian Aho on a discount. Whatever. Play your games. Who cares?
And also to go back on a point you made earlier, we're seeing players who are being signing this year for, let's face it, over market value in some cases. So who's to say in 2 to 3 years that he's at market value at 6?
Could be. You're right. It could be. But what I'm saying is I see it all over Twitter too. They're like, oh no, he's gonna re-sign another contract, and it's gonna be for 3 years at say $3 million, because the Hurricanes had faith in him and signed him to that 1 year. That's not how it works. Come on.
No,
especially not when he can be guaranteed $6.1 million next season too. Right? I mean, you're right, Eddie. This is. I think your dog agrees with me. By the way.
No, he just wants attention. Over
here. No, obviously this was completely getting back at Montreal. There's no doubt about it. Whatever. But I seriously think it's going to blow up in their faces. I really do.
I think it can go either way. I don't think he's going to come in year one and light the world on fire, but I think he can put up 15 goals in a season. I think he can put up 30 points. And I think in 2 to 3 years, $6 million is a fair contract for him.
Maybe. But will it be in year 2? Right? None of that. If you're Andrei Svechnikov, how are you feeling?
If you're Andrei Svechnikov,
he just signed $7.8 million per year. He's looking, wait a minute, what? What'd you just give him?
Honestly, if you're Andrei Svechnikov, you got your money now. So just.
I get it. He signed for 8 years. I understand that. I'm just saying that.
And I don't agree with big contracts coming from players. And that's just me because I see the Bruins and Jesus, you are loud today. I see the Bruins, and that's my marker right there. I always see the Bruins players always taking deals with the team, hometown deals, and every now and then you see a Torrey Krug leave or a Zdeno Chara walk. Other than that, though, Bergeron making 6 and Marchand making 6 and Pasternak making 6. All these players who are high skilled kind of fall in line. What do you want? I'll be right back. I'm going to get him some water.
See, I told you that dog agrees with me. I'm telling you.
Yeah, he's dragging him away from the mic.
That's right. It's What do you think, Gump? I mean, is that?
I don't care. It's got nothing to do with the Rangers. Don't care at all. They can fight. They can scream and holler at each other. They hate each other. I don't care.
The Rangers aren't going to be making any friends this year.
That's okay. They're going to be playing a hell of a lot better.
I doubt that.
Oh no! I already talked to them.
Oh, you talked to him?
Oh yeah, I've been on the MSG, and I carried out a couple conversations. And,
Okay.
He still sends letters to the fan club. Don't worry about it.
Nobody can read now on the Rangers. You know that, right?
Well, moving right along from the hurricane situation. So I saw this tweet online a couple weeks ago. I was going to bring this up, but I kind of slipped my mind. But I wanted to bring it up tonight. There was this thing that said there was some poll taken. It was about the most hated NHL players. And its percentage represents the percentage of negative mentions the player receives on social media. So number one was, of course, Tom Wilson. Imagine that.
Imagine
right?
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them were Artemi Panarin, TJ Oshie, William Nylander, Evander Kane, Phil Kessel, Patrick Laine, Patrick Kane, your boy Brad Marchand, and Alex Ovechkin. Tom Wilson, I get.
Tom Wilson, I get. Brad Marchand slipping to 9, I don't. I see how I understand why he slipped.
So do I.
But he also hasn't done anything quite notably in a long time.
Well, you know what it was? It was after that whole, Wilson Panarin incident when Marchand spoke out against Wilson and all that. Then all of a sudden, everybody who hated him was like, "Oh no, he's cool."
Well, that's the thing is like he knows he doesn't need to do the slew foots anymore. He knows he doesn't need to do any of that anymore because he's already there. He puts up his 30 goals a year. He gets his points. He doesn't need to get in the grime. He just needs to get open. Some of these though, I just don't get. Artemi Panarin, I don't know who he pissed off besides Vladimir Putin himself.
Yeah, how do you hate the bread man that much? I don't understand it.
Like, unless you're a constituent for the Russian Federation, you don't hate Artemi Panarin.
No,
He's
Putin
done nothing
just,
wrong.
Putin just ordered everybody to
Yeah,
tweet,
yeah,
you know.
exactly.
Get out there.
Yeah.
You have a tweet against him?
We need these tweets out, guys. It's if there's anything I could do, it's ruin his public opinion.
Yeah. Firing squad next.
TJ Oshie, I get and I don't get. Like he does nothing wrong on the ice. He's the most humble and the most.
He's an Olympic hero too.
He's an Olympic hero for the United States. He's just overall like he doesn't play dirty. He just plays the game the right way. He may not play perfectly all the time, but he plays the game the right way.
Right.
William Nylander, I get.
That probably came from Toronto fans.
Yeah, all of it's from Toronto fans. I have nothing bad to say about him, but I could see where 43% of William Nylander tweets are hateful. Yeah, it's all Toronto fans.
Evander Kane, I totally get.
Evander Kane, I think, is moving up the list. I think.
I
think as of the past, in the past like 2 weeks, Evander Kane went from like 4th to or 5th to 1st because no one likes him anymore. Even his own teammates want him out, and that's just sad.
The biggest one. The biggest one. Kessel. How do you hate Phil Kessel?
I get it. I do.
Really?
In some ways, when he doesn't have the puck, he's incredibly lazy.
I know, but I mean, he takes such great pictures with hamburgers and hot dogs, and just a regular dude.
That itself is a negative aspect. That's the thing is when you
were just talking about players having personality. Now, I mean, we want to talk about personality.
You're backing up. Hot dogs aren't a personality. That's a character. What is it? Popeye. Isn't that the character from Popeye?
Yeah, it's Pluto. He's Pluto on ice.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, it's just, but of course, this kind of looks like this wasn't an exact science either. So
yeah, I mean, it's easy to predict.
Yeah. I think it's just one of those. Somebody put that out to try to get some clicks. Is basically what it was.
Yeah, I think this was a TSN list too.
Something like that. It was all based on. Yeah, it was all based on what they saw on social media and all that. So who knows what the sample size was either. But.
Yeah. But with Tom Wilson being number 1 and Evander Kane being in the top 5, I get that. Like they're both grimy. They're both just absolutely like Tom Wilson's a grimy hockey player. I don't know how he is off the ice, and I can't speak for that. But Evander Kane, he's a horrible person, and I don't want. I officially like the leaving your family out to dry and stuff like that. I can't get behind, and so I'll say. Evander Kane's number 1 on my list of most hated hockey players.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be moving up from 5. That's for sure.
Yeah,
So.
I think he's taken over the number 1 spot because I think in the past few weeks there's been nothing but negative things said about him.
That's more than an understatement right there, my friend. But,
yes.
So the USA and Canada will meet tonight in the gold medal game of the 2021 IIHF Women's World Championships. You don't understand is why is this rivalry not promoted more?
Because
USA Canada women's hockey is just it's intense. Have you ever watched USA and Canada go at it?
I watch it all the time.
Yeah.
I watch the highlights. I watch the games. I absolutely love everything about that rivalry. Hockey sucks at promoting.
You ain't kidding.
I mean, why are we seeing kids still wearing Gretzky jerseys and not McDavid jerseys? Why are we seeing kids idolize Jaromir Jagr and not Leon Draisaitl or Patrice Bergeron or I can't think of any Rangers off the top of my head.
He's going down. He's going down. I'm done. I better come watch him play just so I can throw a watermelon at him.
Well, listen, do me a favor and do it when he's trying to hook me by my pants, okay?
Yeah, throw some octopus out there.
Yeah.
Out here, will you?
Thank God they put the netting all around the Clinton ice now.
Yeah, that's too bad though. It really should be promoted more than it is. But
the biggest thing that women's hockey needs to do is just unionize. Like not in like a corporation kind of way, but like we need to get the game out more. That's how we're gonna make money type deal. And players like Hillary Knight and Amanda Kessel need to get it together. Like, and it's.
Well, and I've always said the NHL needs to help them more too.
Yes, there's a reason why the NBA owns the WNBA.
Right.
Is it because the timing's off? I mean, we're getting ready for the seasons, and people are really pumped up over that.
No,
I'm just saying that. I don't know, but
it's always like that though.
It's like it's more or less. Gary Bettman doesn't want to invest in a product that's not quote unquote proven. And that's foul in my eyes. And I think Gary Bettman should be held accountable for all those actions because it's women's hockey to me is some of the most intense hockey you'll ever watch. Because
he's another one that should be run over by a Zamboni.
Yeah.
From the words of Gump. Boy.
That's my second favorite Gump quote now. My first one's life's like a box of chocolates, and now it's Gary Bettman should be ran over by a Zamboni.
And suddenly there is harmony in Rangers and Bruins land. So while we're still got some harmony here, we're going to move right along. NHL.com has released its list of top left wings for this season. The names include Johnny Gaudreau, Jonathan Huberdeau, Kirill Kaprizov, Brad Marchand, Artemi Panarin, and Brady Tkachuk. Ed, if you're going to pick one of these players for your team, and I know what you're going to say, but who would you pick?
I'm obviously Brad Marchand.
Okay, take Brad Marchand off that list.
Can you read the rest of them for me?
Sure. So it was Johnny Gaudreau, Jonathan Huberdeau, Kirill Kaprizov, Artemi Panarin, and Brady Tkachuk.
I feel Kirill Kaprizov has a lot to prove both in the locker room now and on the ice. He's still young. You can't judge after 1 year. I think he has a big upside play-wise, but I think his personality now is lacking after the news came out that he flat out lied about getting a contract from the KHL.
Yeah.
That hurts his hurts his stock.
There's his cred just a little bit.
Johnny Hockey is moving fast down the list.
Ooh.
He's moving down the list very
Free
fast.
fall.
Yeah. He needs a change of scenery really bad, whether it's Philly, whether it's Jersey, whether it's the Islanders. The Rangers don't need any more bad players.
Yes.
Oh, he's right. He's right. I got to agree with you. It's like that guy from Buffalo.
That guy from Buffalo.
What, bad hockey players in Buffalo? That's like peanut butter and jelly.
No, it's just the coaching staff.
But I would say out of that list, Brady Tkachuk. If you
That's
take
a good
out
one because he's so young.
Brady
He's
Tkachuk's
so
young. He's proving himself. He's turning that Senators franchise around. I think overall, and he's feisty. I think overall, Brady Tkachuk is number 2 to Brad Marchand on that list.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that's a real good choice. Huberdeau flies under the radar.
I think Huberdeau.
That's how
Huberdeau
good
does
he
fly
is.
I think Huberdeau does fly under the radar, and he's a victim of his surroundings of being a Panther his whole career.
Even though the Panthers are suddenly pretty darn good.
They're all of a sudden becoming contenders, but
exactly
out of that though, that's one season, maybe two, that you could sit there and say he was all right. The Panthers are all right. I'm not saying it's his fault that they're a losing franchise. I'm just saying that if he was in a better surrounding area, maybe with the Lightning, maybe with the early 2000s Kings or something like that, he'd be higher on the list. But Brady, he also is a little older than Brady Tkachuk, so I had to look at that as a example on why.
I think if I had to pick one of those players, it'd be really tough, but I would have to go with Panarin. And I'll tell you why, because Panarin's one of those rare wingers that does not need a center to set him up, to get him the puck.
Yeah.
He can do it himself.
Agree with that. Yeah.
And that's a very rare thing for a winger to be able to do that.
I think Artemi Panarin is one of the best in the game. I think he also kind of needs to keep his mouth shut politically with what's going on in Russia, because he missed 2 very valuable weeks this year.
Yeah.
Doing who knows what, but still, like, there's no distraction. Like I said it before, that was a distraction in the locker room that was completely avoidable.
Yeah,
that was the biggest issue in that Rangers locker room, was just distraction after distraction, whether it's or
everything else was going on.
Yeah. So as of right now, I'm going to say Brady Tkachuk, but Panarin could easily take that number one.
Yeah.
The dogs.
So I'll tell you what. On the flip side, they also did the right wingers. Ooh. So I'm going to give you the list, and then you tell me who you would take. And I know who you're going to say too, but yeah. So Patrick Kane, Nikita Kucherov, Mitchell Marner, David Pastrnak, Mikko Rantanen, and Mark Stone.
I'm throwing Stone away right away. I'm assuming you want me to keep Pastrnak off the list.
Yeah, you can't vote for your hometown team. That's not allowed.
Okay, so Patrick Kane is up there for me. I love Patrick Kane. I think Patrick Kane's one of the best to ever do it. But if I had to look at how the play from the past 5 years and what I wanted on my team now, I'm going to have to go Mitch Marner.
Really?
I think Mitch Marner is, again, he gets way too much flack over because he's a Toronto kid playing in Toronto. None of their losses are his fault. He's always doing his thing because he's just an assist machine.
Right.
If no one else could bury his passes, that's not on him in my eyes.
Which is amazing given the offensive firepower they have.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
because that was the biggest issue. I mean, obviously John Tavares was out, but I mean, Austin Matthews couldn't bury a couple goals. You know, William Nylander and Jason Spezza picked up the workload.
Yeah, and Nylander still ended up on the hated player list.
Yeah, Nylander still was hated. Like it's but Mitch Marner, to me, I think his vision on the ice is hands down one of the most incredible in the league. I think Mitch Marner overall is probably one of the better right wingers. Obviously, he was in the top 5. I think he's right below Pastrnak.
I'll tell you what, I would take Pastrnak.
I would. Obviously, he's my number
I would.
one, yeah,
I would.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind about it.
Oh, cheap contract, team locker room guy, buries pucks and nets.
And he's got awesome Dunkin' Donuts commercials.
Oh, God. If it wasn't for the local coffee shops in Herkimer, I would get Dunkin' more often.
Don't you just want to drive through the Dunkin' drive-thru? So, need us some help, please. Need us some help, please.
I know. You know what?
He's trapped in the corner on the tabletop hockey.
I would go through the Dunkin' drive-thru in Herkimer, but that would take 8 years.
You'd be retired by the time you got your coffee.
Yeah, I'd get my coffee and have more gray hair. I'd look like Santa Claus.
You'd look like me.
Come on. I'm prettier than that. I'm prettier than that.
You know, see that? I'm no good at chirping. What can I tell you?
No, that was a very good chirp. You said I'm ugly. It's
yeah. So yeah, see? It's reverse psychology. That's all it is. Oh, boy. Well, that's all we got for segment 2. And as we always do, we're going to end segment 2 with Website of the Week. Website of the Week is brought to you by 315hockey.com. 315hockey.com is your news hub for all levels of hockey in Central New York. That's right, our man Vermi. See, this week's Website of the Week is originalhockeyhalloffame.com. Everybody kind of forgets that Hall of Fame exists. It's in Kingston, Ontario, and it's, like I said, it was the original, and it's got some pretty cool exhibits. It's closed right now. But check it out. It's the home of the square puck. Imagine playing with a square puck.
So I have this book about actually Kingston, Ontario, and their dedication to the sport. And the first ever hockey puck was a shaved lacrosse ball. They took a file and shaved down a lacrosse ball into a square.
Yeah, that's what they have there.
I think. Yeah. And
It's. You know what else they have there? They have a huge Don Cherry exhibit.
Listen, Grapes is the man. Grapes holds my heart. I think
there you go.
I think he got out of it way too late. I think he should have retired 10 years ago. He
probably
his and it's not. I can give a shit about his politics. I watch hockey for hockey. To me, it was his views on the game were archaic. He didn't evolve with the game, so it was just it was time. It was time. It was time. It was
just unfortunate.
Doesn't mean I don't love him.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Absolutely. If I ever met the guy, I'd shake his hand and avoid talking politics with him as long as I could.
Yes, that's for sure.
Buy the Colt.
Well, you know what? It's not that I disagree with him or anything like that. That's besides the point. It's that he just shoved his opinion down my throat, and I'd end up getting frustrated and just knocking him out. Right? And it's
rock 'em, sock 'em hockey.
Yeah, I'd pull his wool. Hey, no.
See, so would your dog.
Yeah, no, the dog's just one just bit the other.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's a good time to go to a commercial break then, so you can break that up. Yep. And when we come back, we're going to do the Zamboni Time Machine. We'll see you in a second.
Need to find that gift for someone special? Visit Little Falls Presents at the Stone Mill and Canal Place. Stop by today to find unique artist work, T-shirts, coffee cups, gift towels, greeting cards, tote bags, koozies, and original oil paintings and prints. It's all about the art of the gift. For more information, visit mylittlefalls.com/shop or call 315-508-5310 for details.
And we're back with segment 3 of Marty's Illegal Stick, the Zamboni Time Machine. The Zamboni Time Machine is brought to you by Zamboni.com, and the Zamboni name is used with permission. This week, the Zamboni Time Machine takes us back to October 3rd, 1953, the day the Montreal Canadiens bought an entire hockey league to get one player. In the original Six era, acquiring young talent was a very territorial process. There was no amateur entry draft yet, so team scouts were constantly on the prowl with contracts in hand, hoping to pluck their team's next superstar. For example, the Chicago Blackhawks paid Bobby Hull's parents for his signing rights when Bobby was just 11 years old. Can you imagine that?
Jeez.
The Montreal Canadiens considered the province of Quebec their own. In the early 1950s, there was a player on the Quebec Aces in the amateur Quebec Senior League that the Canadiens desperately wanted. That player was Jean Beliveau. The Canadiens actually held Beliveau's NHL negotiating rights, but he refused to sign with the team. Even though he was playing in an amateur league, Beliveau was being paid quite handsomely by the Aces. Some even said he was making more than Gordie Howe and Rocket Richard. With this arrangement in place, the Gros Bill, as he was known as, was quite content to stay in his hometown of Quebec City. The Canadiens, however, would not be denied. Undaunted, they purchased the entire Quebec Senior League and declared it a professional league. By the rules of the day, this meant that Beliveau would play for Montreal and Montreal only. Don't feel bad, though. Beliveau did not make out too badly in this deal. He became the face of the Canadiens franchise and won 10 Stanley Cups with the team on his way to a Hall of Fame career. He is widely considered to be one of the best hockey players that ever lived. And that, my friends, concludes this week's trip on the Zamboni Time Machine. Could you imagine that, buying an entire hockey league to get to one guy?
They bought the whole league?
They bought the whole league.
Jeez.
Because,
it was cool they got.
Well, yeah, but the rules were crazy back then, right?
Oh,
there was no draft.
Like the rules aren't crazy now?
There was no TV like
it was
today,
the Wild West back then.
It was. Yeah. It really was. And that's why I say, I mean, they had scouts going around all these remote villages, northern Canada, wherever they went to. And here, I got a contract to play for, they play, the Blackhawks or the Red Wings, or sign right here. And they would bring some kid who never left a 500-person village into the big city, and all of a sudden, well, there you are.
That's not too far from Major League Baseball.
That's true.
No,
They did a lot of that too.
Basketball as well is doing that.
Yeah, there you go. There's another one.
Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, back then, Montreal considered Quebec, like I said, to be their territory.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Their country.
Yeah. And of course, with it,
That's very true.
Pretty much. So it's quite interesting, to say the least. But I've heard of, there was teams that would buy an entire minor team to get to a player.
Yeah.
But the league?
Let's bet a small league.
No.
2 teams.
Yeah. Don't you wish they could still do that now, Ed?
I wish they could do that now just to sign me.
Yeah. The Bruins are going to come along and buy our Clinton B League, right?
I don't even care if it's the Bruins at this point. Like Tampa Bay could be like, "Hey Ed, come play for us," and I'd be like, "Oh, cool, it's warm here. I'll take league min.
Yeah, go out and play with Jack Eichel.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me league minimum and like a pint of beer, and I'll be a Columbus Blue Jacket any day.
There you go.
I'll get the Bruins tattoo removed from my arm. I'll get a Blue
It's
Jacket
too bad Torrance is gone, though, because you guys would have got along great.
But
Torch and I would have either been best of friends or mortal enemies.
Mortal enemies with me, but
That's because Rangers fans are never happy.
Yes, they are. I was very happy in 1994. Don't even get stupid on me now.
He took the words out of my mouth.
I was a year
Don't
old.
even get stupid on me now.
1994.
I like you, Ed. Let's keep it that way.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, man.
So Gump, where were you playing back when Montreal bought the whole Quebec League?
53?
He was playing in the Ontario League.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I played in Mohawk Valley.
Oh, yeah.
No, in 1960, we started playing in Ilion. We built the Russell Park.
Oh,
And
that's what it was?
Yeah, and we had a hell of a team for, up to 1967. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, the Rangers were going to buy him, too.
Yeah, the Rangers were going to buy me it was great, and like I told last week, the problem with hockey is you play it, it's in your blood, and it ain't never going to leave.
I told that to my girlfriend when we first started dating. Hockey is my first love, and it never leaves. It'll never leave me. I've been playing now 25 years. I've been skating.
That's why he's using the stick the way he is. He told his girlfriend that hockey was his first love.
He needs it for protection. You kidding?
Scott's seen me use it in much worse ways.
I felt it too.
I'll let you go there visually.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
Did you see the game against our last game against Altieri's this year, Scott? When I got cross-checked from behind and my head got put in the boards. Helmet flew off. Like I don't wear my chin strap is as loose as it comes. First thing I did was I stood up and just threw my stick at the guy that did it. Just launched.
Well, yeah, because there would have been no way they could have told you had a concussion.
Yeah.
There's no baseline.
There's no baseline in the B League. So
Jeez.
Oh, that's great. Well, buddy, like I said, I can't wait for the season to get started. So just a few more weeks.
Just a couple more weeks to go. Really, are they allowing fans in this year?
I don't know.
I mean, if they are, people should come and watch and have a few beers with us. It's a party.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. If they do, and when my team, the Killer Brew, plays your team, the Rink Rats, we'll have Dave the Sick come up and take some pictures or video.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll put it on the show.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm game with that.
I'm
absolutely fine.
I'm all in.
There we go.
I'm all in.
Just don't tell that. He'll be the number 1 star.
No, he'll spend half the game in the penalty box.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I forgot who it was we played against this year. We were down 3-0 in the third period. I ran out and got 3 first assists and just put the team on my back, feeding biscuits all day.
Well, you know,
it's amazing when you're not in the penalty box what you can do.
I'm honestly like when I play the game properly, I'm not half bad.
Play it properly.
but you have seen Scott play, right?
I have seen Scott play. And
yeah, have you seen his best moments? So his highlight reel.
I haven't seen his highlight reel, but I have.
You're about to.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go.
Dave watches that video every night before he goes to bed, by the way.
I'm gonna watch that video every night before I go to bed.
Tell him why I did that to you, though.
Because Dave, the sandbag over here, he's for all these months we've been doing this. He's telling me all over, I don't know anything about hockey. You're going to have to explain it all to me. So this summer we had a little thing set up here in Little Falls where we closed part of the street off and the kids could play street hockey. So one day he shows up to take pictures for my Little Falls. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's cool. What's going on? One of those deals. And I said, why don't you get in net? He's like, no. He goes, I'll just take a couple shots on you instead. I said, okay, no problem. He doesn't know anything about hockey. He's always saying it, this and that. Mario Lemieux over here snaps a laser right by my ear. I got no helmet on right now. I'm like, what are you doing? We're going to have to take about 5 weeks off from the show while I'm recovering from my concussion because there would be a baseline.
Did they, have you told them what I do when I play ball hockey with you guys when I'm in net?
No, but it's incredibly crazy what he does. He likes to get in goal, but he doesn't want to put the equipment on.
I don't wear a helmet.
No.
I don't wear a helmet. I'll wear the rest of the equipment. I won't wear a helmet.
The rest of it? Why?
I don't know. I think he thinks he's Terry Sawchuk or something. I don't know, but
I got long hair. And, when I put the helmet on,
all I see is a little grease. No, I just see the grease coming off his head.
It's been years since Scott's seen hair like this. So
no doubt about that.
There he goes again. You're getting stupid on me again.
Yeah. No, it's not me, not you.
I know, but I'm saying
you just walked into it.
Gump, I could tell for you it's been decades. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, Eddie, thanks for coming on, man. This has been
so much for having me, guys.
Fun.
It was fun, Ed.
We'll have to do this again sometime.
Yes, of course. I'm more than happy. Anytime.
Absolutely. Everybody, that was Ed Stefaniak from the On Thin Ice podcast. And that's all we got for this week. So you can find us at martysillegalstick.com, which is in the process of being rebuilt, but we're getting there. And you can also find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at Marty's Illegal Stick Hockey Podcast. And we're on all major podcast platforms at the My Little Falls banner. So for Gump, Leo Kinville, for Dave the Save Warner, for Ed Stefaniak, I'm Scott Kinville. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Sick dance party you guys are having.